Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Sektor, and 9.2 patch is finally here after such a long time, and so are the new changes. By having lots of changes, you know what comes next. Yep, you're right, guide for Enhancement Shaman is finally here. And before we jump into the video, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, because 93% of my viewers are not subscribed, and by doing that you will help this channel a tons, and you will be kept in touch with future awesome content, so don't hesitate, go and subscribe. And without any further ado, let's start with the guide. So, the first thing that I'm going to start with this guide is the choice of Covenant. I'm going to be playing Ventir again, as the whole Shadowlands expansion so far for PvP. It has been the best Covenant because it gave us unique ability, Chain Harvest, which has ability to one-shot and has lay on hands within it. As you could see in my previous videos, I one-shotted a lot of people and I got healed very much, like from 20 to 100% with just one click, and on top of that, having a Door of Shadows as help for all mobility or even control with its effect to disorient is a very good combination of spells. And with 9.2 patch, Chain Harvest got even a little more buffed, plus one of the big roles that I'm going to be playing Ventir Covenant is going to be the Ventir Covenant legendary item. And don't worry, I also heard that Necrolords could be good for enhancement PvP as well, but I don't think that it will be able to top Ventir with legendary item combos that I'm about to talk about. And later, when we get the ability to have two legendaries, I will get my Necrolords Covenant ready by that time and I will test it, so don't worry. If it ends up being better, I will inform you in any of future videos, but as I said, I don't think it's going to be better than Ventir Covenant. So, by clearing up the Covenant question, I'm going to jump into the legendary combinations. So far, as I've noticed, there is going to be a few legendary item combinations, since we are going to be able to use the two Legos in the same time. So the first combination that I'm going to talk about is Doom Winds plus Elemental Conduit / Ventir legendary item. And the reason for that is, as you know, Doom Winds was the best legendary since the beginning of Shadowlands, with such a big ability to deal such a great amount of damage with Wind Fury procs, and with this patch Wind Fury Conduits got even more buffed, so this one cannot be mistaken. And the reason for Ventir Covenant Lego is not just that it will help you a little bit with the heal, but it will reset your Chain Harvest cooldown by 1 second every time Flame Shock critically strikes, which can end up reducing the Chain Harvest cooldown up to 1 minute or even more or less, depends on the situation of fight that you're in. So Chain Harvest cooldown will be approximately about a minute, which is insane for having one-shot ability on just 1 minute cooldown. So with the Chain Harvest and Wind Fury being the two best sources for a damage on Enhancement Shaman, these two legendaries in combination cannot be bad at all. Second legendary combination is Witch Doctor's Wolf's Bones plus Ventir Covenant Lego. So as long time as we know, Witch Doctors was the most competitive legendary item to Doom Winds, and the reason for that is that it never relied on 12 seconds burst every minute, but it always had a good sustained damage, and with that combination with Ventir Lego can also be a very deadly combination. So far I've seen videos where two shamans were dueling on PTR, one with the Witch Doctor plus Ventir Lego and the other with the Doom Winds plus Ventir Lego, and Witch Doctor won duel every time, but unfortunately I didn't have the access to PTR, so I couldn't test it myself. So for that reason, as long as we are able to wear both legendaries, I will be hold steady and make a video comparing those two in order to finally see which combination is better. And for now I will be running Doom Wind since it's my favorite, since I love Wind Fury very much, but Witch Doctor 1 is also very good, so I leave the choice up to you to use whatever you like more, and when we can finally wear both Legos I will be making a new videos on determining which legendary combination is the best one. Third legendary combination is kind of a weird one, and it's a combination of elemental legendary item known as Skybreaker's Fairy Demise plus Ventir legendary once again. Reason for this weird combination is that it can actually reduce your Chain Harvest cooldown up to 15 to 20 seconds. Yeah, 15 to 20 seconds is a goddamn insane. Imagine having a Chain Harvest every 15 seconds. The world would come to an end very quickly. And the reason for that is its secondary effect, because the first one is very unimportant, but the second part says that the Flame Shock has a 50% increased critical strike chance. So with that in combination with the Ventir legendary, which reduces the cooldown of Chain Harvest, every Flame Shock critically strikes, plus Lashing Flame talent, which says that Lava Lash increases the damage of Flame Shock on its target by 100% for 20 seconds. So this insane combo will almost remove your cooldown on your Chain Harvest and give you ability to pretty much spam it. So just to be clear, that insane cooldown reduce is just for higher group fights, such as in rated battlegrounds or even in 3v3 arenas. For 1v1 fights or 2v2 arenas, cooldown will be a little bit bigger, since you won't have that much targets to put Flame Shock on, but still in less player fights cooldown would be around 30 to 40 seconds, which is still very insane for such a powerful spell. Now I'm afraid that Blizzard might nerf this combination or change something while we get to wear 2 legendaries, but that's one of the options as well. So again, when the 2 legendaries will be available, I'm going to be testing this combination too, and of course inform you is it good or what. So after clearing up Covenant and legendary items questions, we are moving on to the talents. So first I'm going to represent you the talent that you should run with the Doom Winds legendary. So the first one of course is a Forceful Winds, which is a mandatory in combination with Doom Winds, which just helps your Wind Fury a tons. The second one is a Storm Flurry, which is the best one in its row for this legendary / talent combination. Third row is an optional, as always. And my favorite to use is a Spirit Wolf, which helps in lots of situations versus Stealthers, or when I'm trying to kite someone while their burst is up. I will just take the reduced damage taken and it will increase my speed, so yeah, that's kind of a best one for sure. So in the fourth row, of course, Elemental Assault again is the best one in this combination, so pretty much Forceful Wind, Storm Flurry and Elemental Assault are the 3 combinations that must go mandatory. So the fifth row is kind of optional as well, and my favorite here to use is a Feral Lunge, because it gives you such a great mobility and it gives you options to catch enemies much easier. Lots of people use Nature Guardian, and I understand that because it's a defensive talent, but in my opinion Feral Lunge is much better, because trust me, if somebody is gonna kill you, no Nature Guardian is going to help you, but Feral Lunge can actually help you in order to even escape or catch someone if you are chasing him. So the sixth row, there is really not much options except Sundering, Stormkeeper and Crashing Storms are suck, and the Sundering again, it does very good amount of damage and it incaping your enemy for 2 seconds, or you can use it as I use it mostly as interrupt for some heal or things like that. And in the last one you can pretty much go all 3, but my favorite one and in my opinion best choice is Ascendance. So Elemental Spirits are kinda RNG because you never know what they're going to proc. Earth and Spike is more for sustained damage, which we are not doing in this build. This build is specifically the burst one, so in that case Ascendance is best one for real, because it deals tons of damage and it just going to help you mostly to kill your enemy more than a Earth Spark or Elemental Spirits, even if you could use them both together. So yeah, the Ascendance is the best choice and you should run that. So for the Witch Doctor spec, you want to run these talents. In the first row you want to go with Elemental Blast, since Forceful Winds are no longer good because we don't have a Doom Winds legendary, and with Elemental Blast you'll have a pretty decent amount of damage every 12 seconds, and your crit or haste or mastery will be increased for that duration, which can help your damage sustainability. Again, second row we want to go with the Storm Flurry, because it's just too good and it goes very well in the combination of sustainable damage. In the third row again it's an optional, but in my opinion the Spirit Wolf is the best option. And for a fourth row the Elemental Assault is once again best in a combination going for a Storm Strike, and it's the best for a sustained damage. In a fifth row again it's an optional, but in my opinion Feral Lunge is the best choice. Sixth row again you have no other choice but to go Sundering, because Crashing Storm and Stormkeeper are very bad at this point. And in a 6th row we have a little change, and as I mentioned before, Earth and Spike is the best one for sustained damage, which this spec is all about. So in this spec you should go Earth and Spike before the Elemental Spirit or Ascendance, but again, if you go Ascendance you won't be making mistake, because again it will give you a very good burst plus that sustained damage that your legendary and other talents grant you. You can again easily kill somebody, but if you want to go purely for just a full sustained damage without worrying about any big cooldowns and stuff like that, you will go for the Earth and Spike. From the base talents we are moving on to the PvP talents, and the PvP talents are not bonded by any means to any of legendary items, so they're pretty much free to use. So the 3 most common I like to use is a Shamanism, Static Field Totem and Grounding Totem. Like Grounding Totem, I don't even need to explain why, it can pretty much soak anything and it's a very good one. The Shamanism always good to have to give you that soft burst for 10 seconds to you and your partner. Is also a very good one, especially in arena. And the 3rd one that is kind of my favorite is a Static Field Totem, which can trap your enemy targets. So even if they are chasing you with some high burst, you can just trap them, and with a Ghost Wolf combination you can very speedy run away from them. Or even if you are chasing them to kill them, you can just trap them and get them inside that circle. So yeah, you cannot mistake with going these 3 PvP talents. Also, what I like to swap is the Static Field Totem for the Unleash Shield for a Static Field Totem, because as I already mentioned, I'm never using any other shield than a Lightning Shields, and it has ability with Unleash Shield talent to knocks people away, so it's my favorite one to use in Blade's Edge Arena, where I can knock a people off the bridge and pretty much kill their partner if I have the burst or something like that. And I like to use it in rated battlegrounds if you are playing in a Rati basing, so knocking them from Lumber Mill or Blacksmith is a very good and a useful thing. Also knocking people away from the middle in Eye of the Storm is also a good, and you know you have some maps where you can knock people away, so this one is kind of a best for rated battlegrounds. The rest of the talents, Ride of Lightning could be also an interesting option for rated battlegrounds, since there is a lot of you fighting in a group fight, so you will deal periodically damage to all of them. But in arena I don't like to use that, because you can easily break the CC on your target. Thunder Charge right now, I mean it's also a good talent, but I don't like to use it because there's a few better options. Ethereal Form is pretty suck right now. Sky Fury Totem is not good for enhancement. Counter Strike Totem is always suck because it gets immediately destroyed and it doesn't help you any. Spectral Recovery also is a very bad one. Swirling Waves got a little bit nerfed since before, and before it was very good, so I just stopped using them. So yeah, that's pretty much about the talent. These 3 is the best combination, swapping the Static Field Totem with Unleashed Shield, and you know, maybe sometimes for rated battleground going for Ride of Lightning instead of Shamanism and stuff like that. But yeah, this is the most common and the best combination that you can use in PvP talents. I won't be talking about talent combination for 3rd legendary combo, aka the Flame Shock one, because it only works with the both Legos combined, and since we will be able to wear both Legos in like 7 weeks, if I understand it correctly, there is no point on covering that fully right now, so when the times come I will make the separate video covering that spec, so don't worry guys, you will be informed. And now we are jumping into the Conduits. So in this situation I'm going to talk both about Conduits for the Witch Doctor and Doom Winds, because they're pretty much the same, because again, as I said, there is no much options for that. So for the pretty much Doom Winds, the best one is for the Potency Conduits. Unruly Wind, Lavish Harvest and Focused Lighting are 3 the best ones, because they used to be best before the Enhancements and now they are even more better. For the Endurance Conduits, Vital Exhortation and the Refreshing Waters are the 2 best. The Refreshing Water just increase the Healing Surge on yourself, which helps you a lot to top yourself if you are in dangerous situation. And the Vital Exhortation if you are getting burst by a rogue or anything like that. You just pop up your Earth Elemental and increase your health by 34%, which is insane amount, and pretty much make you much tanky and less likely to be killed, especially if you pop up the Astral Shift, or I don't know, it always depends on situation, but these two are best in any of them. And for Finesse Conduits, the only one that I'm using here is a Thunderous Paw, which is a very good one that increases your wolf speed for the first 3 seconds for 31%, which is a very good in combination with Spirit Wolf's Talent that I talked about earlier, which can make you really easily escape the Paladin Wings or any other type of burst, or even going behind some wall if the Warlock is opening on you or Mage and stuff like that. So yeah, this is the best combination. And talking about Wolf of the Witch Bones, pretty much combination would stay the same. Sometimes I like to swap the Unruly Winds, since that is not that much important since we are not using the Doom Winds, but it also can be good because you know you're using the Wind Fury weapon enchant and causing the third attack just help your sustainable damage. But Chill It to the Core also could be a good option because your Frost Shock got buffed as well, and its damage is higher, and it has now 60% to grant up the 2 stacks of Maelstrom weapon, which could help you with your Elemental Blast and, you know, Lightning Bolt and other, you know, stuff that you're spending Maelstrom on. So yeah, for the Witch Doctors mostly I will be using this pack, only swapping Chill to the Core and everything remains the same, or I would be using the Unruly Winds. I don't know, I still have to test that one, but they are very close and it's not much big difference, like maybe 1 to 2%, which you won't even notice. So yeah, that's pretty much about the Conduit. Moving on from all these things to the simple one, and that is the stat priority. So since the ages, we all know that the versatility is the best PvP stat, so that's what you should focus on and go for. The second best is of course haste, because Enhancement Shaman is a big haste junkie, and the third prior should be a critical strike, and the last one is a mastery. Following the stat priority with even more simple thing is Enchants and Gems, and for the gems you should always go with the versatility one, and as you can see I've got them pretty much in every item that you could have. So with Enchants on the cloak, in my opinion the best one is 20 stamina plus minor speed, because as I mentioned multiple times earlier, you can't never have enough of speed. For the chest, best one and kind of an only option is a primary stat plus 30. For the feet, it's a agility one that grants you 15 agility, and for the rings I'm going with 16 versatility both. On main hand weapon you should have Celestial Guidance, and on the offhand you should have Sinful Revelation, and these enchants are the best and you should have them, they are not really expensive or anything. So after all of those stuff, we are finally moving on to the macros, and the macros are very important thing for Shaman, because you have lots of spells that you can use on lots of targets, so you need those macros in order to use them more easily and more efficiency. So first and the most basic macro is slash focus, and that makes you put even your partner or your enemy into the focus, and the rest of my macros are bonded to focus, so that's why I use this one always. So pretty much I mostly put in a focus enemy that I want to have on easy CC and easy interrupt. So for that I use the macro for a wind share that interrupts my focus, so I don't really need to target him in order to interrupt him. I can just keep the target on a person that I'm attacking. It goes same with the hex for a focus, so as you can see here you can just override them to yourself if you don't have them. Same goes with the purge, because sometimes you will want to purge some strong spells from some other partner. Of course it all depends on situation, and the one for my people, my partners, is the first, the Clean Spirit, so I can dispel something from my partner, and I use this by typing my partner's name in this macro. The second one is Healing Surge, that I can heal surge my partner without even targeting him. The next one is giving the Bloodlust to my partner without even targeting him. So all these macros are very useful and saves you time. Instead of chasing your partner by targeting him, you can just press that button, which of course requires you to use more keybinds, but trust me, it pays off at the end. And for the last one I had a the different combinations for Wind Fury Totem because I combined it with the Unchained Gladiator's Badge of Ferocity, so every minute I can use these both in the same time, so I don't have to like press the two buttons one by other, but I just press one and I use both my Wind Fury Totem and Trinket. And with that I like to combine my Bloodlust. It says Heroism because I used to play Alliance, so combining those three can guarantee you a very big damage and even a damage for your partner if you're playing double DPS in arena. So yeah, that's all about the macros, and from macros we are going to move on to the add-ons. So speaking of add-ons, I have a lot of add-ons and the different ones because I like to play all the aspects of the game like PvP, PvE, hunting some mounts, achievements and stuff like that. So in this specific video I'm just going to cover the PvP talents that I used mostly and that are very good for PvP, so you can take the note on that. So we are starting with Ability Team Tracker, which is pretty much add-on that helps you track your teammate abilities. So in arena, if you want to sync your DPS in order to kill your enemy easy, you can just look on their cooldowns and just say, okay, let's attack, and boom, he's done. Or you can even watch for defensive cooldowns, or should you throw a heal on them, and pretty much anything like that. Very good and a useful add-on. The second one is mostly for rated battlegrounds, and it's called Battleground Enemies, which shows you the units of your enemies pretty much in a shape of a cube, so you can easily click on them, and when the target caller is calling up the target, you don't need to chase the target among the 20 people that are in a group fight, but you can just click there and pretty much jump on him and start pounding him. The next one, very useful, is a big debuffs that pretty much makes the size of debuffs and crowd control much bigger, and shows you that timer, so you can pretty much track the debuffs when they're going off and on and stuff like that. Fourth one, also very useful for rated battlegrounds, is capping, which pretty much shows you the timer when the base is going to be capped, when the flag is going to respawn, if you are going to win or your enemy team, with how much points different you're going to win, how much bases you need to fix that and stuff like that. So it's yeah, very good add-on for rated battlegrounds. Again, the check PvP is currently off because it used to be a very buggy and always giving me some errors, but and in the last time I'm not really hosting much rated battlegrounds, and it's very useful if you are looking for some partner from arena or battlegrounds, so you don't need to go to the site of Armory or check PvP on the internet to check them, but they will show all the infos about them in the game. So yeah, it's a pretty good one if you are tracking. The classic number is just a static add-on which shows you the numbers that you are damaging and getting heal and stuff much nicer than they used before, so I like to use that one for statics very much, and I can suggest that to you if you hate the current numbers that you're seeing on the screen. Also, I like to use the details in PvP because it shows my damage done, and I can track there which spell is doing how much damage, or even healing taken, healing given and stuff like that. I don't use it that often, but when I'm testing something it's always on and a very useful add-on. The next one is Flight Plate Buffs, which shows buffs and debuffs on the nameplates, which is also very useful because your eyes are always kind of in the middle of the screen, and with this add-on you can just easily track the buffs and debuffs. Pretty much I think we are done with the add-ons. Yeah, there's a weak auras which like 90% of the players use, but I don't feel comfortable with it, and it's kind of buggy, especially since I'm swapping the devices that I play on, because sometimes I play on my laptop, sometimes I play on my PC, sometimes I play on my brother's PC, so this always gets somehow bugged or at the some side of the screen and stuff. Overall it's a very good add-on that helps you track your cooldowns, and as I said, a lot of people use it, but I don't really like that add-on at all, so I decided to turn it off and just go without it, and I'm still doing good without it. So yeah, it's just a personal preference, I should say. So yeah, that's it pretty much about the PvP add-ons that I mostly use. Like if you have some suggestion that I should use something that you know and I don't, feel free to comment that. I'm always good for suggestions. So yeah, that's it about Addons. So at the end, after covering pretty much all the stuff about PvP Enhancement Shaman, I wanted to talk a little bit about potential arena combos and how do I play Enhancement Shaman, when do I use my burst cooldowns and stuff like that. So first, for 3v3, best combination is of course Turbo Cleave, which is containing Arms Warrior plus Enhancement Shaman plus Healer. Second very good combination is Retri Paladin plus Enhancement Shaman plus Healer, and a third one is Windwalker Monk plus Enhancement Shaman plus Healer. For 2v2, most Enhancement Shaman that I know likes to go just with a healer, but I kinda hate it and I like more to combine it with some DPS. And pretty much order is a similar to 3v3, and best combo in my opinion is Enhancement Shaman plus Retri Paladin, because they both have insane burst and insane self-heal, so they can heal each other and try to combine their burst and pretty much play with enemies for a much longer time. And the second very good combination for 2v2 is Windwalker Monk plus Enhancement Shaman, and Windwalker Monks are very OP now, so you can't mistake with that combination as well. So this should pretty much give you an idea which classes to choose for arena, and at the end it's all personal preference, and even if you go the worst combo, if you are skilled enough you will be able to go high with no doubts. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is how I use my burst cooldown and when. And pretty much I created myself a small burst and a big burst, and small burst contains a Wind Fury Totem plus Badge Trinket plus Bloodlust plus Chain Harvest, which all have 1 minute cooldown except Chain Harvest, and with that in the beginning of fight I try to pop enemies cooldown, or even if they are stupid enough to not use any defensive cooldown I kill them. And if that doesn't succeed and they burn their cooldowns, I wait another minute to get those CDs back, and now I can use them in combination with a big burst which contain Feral Spirits and the Ascendants, and pretty much that's the thing what kills them mostly if everything goes according to the plan. But if it doesn't, again in 1 minute more you will have again that insane small burst. So that's one of the reasons why I like Enhancement Shaman very much, is because the burst cooldowns are very low on it, except Ascendance of course, and those soft bursts that I call, or small bursts, have a very great capability in order to destroy your enemies in such a hard way. So now after these changes of 9.2, the Chain Harvest will have approximately around 1 minute cooldown, which will makes it to fit perfect in a soft burst, and I will be able to try to one-shot people more frequently with that, pretty much every minute. So by saying all of that, we have come to an end of a video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment and I will gladly answer it, and of course if you have any suggestions, please shoot them, because I'm always open for suggestions. And if you like this video and my other videos, throw a like and please subscribe, because that will mean the world to me. And thank you everyone for watching, and see you guys in the next one.